What is up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well today. So today I'm going to be doing one of my ad hoc videos. So if you're new to this channel, I normally do weekly videos every week on weekly schedules, as well as best pickups or waiver wire ads. But every now and again I do an ad hoc video. Sometimes they're about buy low, sell high players, and sometimes they're just on other things in general as well. And I do a lot of or do a bit of pre-draft work as well. So this is a bit of a hobby of mine. But the reason I do this channel as well is because I like to get a lot of information out in a short period of time. I think that there's that there's a bit of benefit there. I've always wanted, I don't have a lot of time, so I like to have a lot of information in sort of like 10 minutes or so. So this channel is basically based off giving a lot of information out in a short period of time. Generally it's within 10 minutes. So if you like that sort of content, in a shorter detailed content in a short amount of time, definitely hit that subscribe button as well, because I think you'll enjoy some of the content on this channel. So with today's video, I'm going to be doing a video previewing the WZRD projection tool. This is basically a projection tool that is an extension on your browser and works with Yahoo and ESPN and maybe some of the other platforms, but they're the biggest two. So most of you will probably be for them, but basically what it does is it projects your weekly matchups and it gives you sort of an outcome of what you're going to win by, how much you're going to win by, and a breakdown of each individual category as well. So in today's video, I'll just go over what the projection tool is. We'll go into the actual screenshot. I'll do a little video on going through the actual tool itself, and then I'll do a bit of feedback or my opinions about the tool, and then you can sort of take it and see whether or not it's something that you might want to consider going forward as well. So let's dive into the video. Okay, so what it is, so this is basically just a bit of an overview of what the tool is. So what it does is that it projects team stats for both you and your opponent, so each weekly matchup. So what you can do is you can adjust it based off the player's last 7, 14, 30 days and season averages, which is handy. Helps you identify which stats may be worth picking up. So obviously if you can project it, you can see which ones, stats you may want to pick up off the waiver wire to be able to change your luck and win that particular week. It also shows each player's games per week, including injury list players, so you can configure that if you think that players are going to miss particular games, for example back-to-backs like Chris Middleton, he's most likely not going to play back-to-back until like Jan, Feb, so you can maybe change his games played that week from 3 to 2 or whatever it is, and then you get a more accurate outcome. You can also see previous week start-end comparison, so that means that like you can see, let's say you won 6-3 that week, but it was projecting you to 5-4. You can sort of see what was the difference, and then maybe it can help you identify ways to win going forward. And you can also compare yourself with other teams around the league at all times, which is sort of interesting as well. It just basically gives you a gauge of like how you perform against different teams at all times, and this is going to be handy come playoff time, I think, where you want to see which particular teams you are going to win, going to beat, and which ones you're going to lose at, and that way you can maybe try and avoid them in the fantasy rankings and standings as well. But that's probably projecting a little bit too far. That would be really hard to do, but it is interesting. And the last dot point I got there is that I'm on the basic version, and this one cost $8.99 US per month as well if you're interested in getting it. So let's dive into the actual tool itself, and we'll go from there, and we'll go into the opinions after. Okay, so now you can see my screen. So basically we are one day into the video, and one day into the weekly matchup, and you can see that I'm winning 5-3 at the moment. It is one day, but basically at the moment, if I was to use the last 14 days averages, and keep my team the entire same, and everyone's to play the exact same games that they're listed for each week, so no injuries and everything like that, then I'm going to win 5-4. Obviously this is projections, and at the end of the day, so many things change, and that's one of the things that I'll talk about later on in my opinion. But it also projects, as you can see here, each particular category. So I only play 9 cat, but if you play different cats, my assumption is that it will show all the different categories as well. But for example, the shading is really cool. So what it does is that it shades, the darker the shading, the less likely chance you're going to win or lose. So for example, blocks, it shaded me dark green, which means I'm going to smash them in blocks. But if you go to 3-pointers, it shaded me in like quite a dark red, which means I'm going to get destroyed in 3-pointers as well. So the lighter the shading, the more closer that particular category is for that week. So this is probably not a great example, this particular league, only because I'm punting points and threes, and basically I'm either going to win or lose in everything. I think assists is probably the closest, where it could swing one way or another as well. I could win 6-3 if I can somehow get assists as well. Some other important, and let's just show you as well the weekly averages. So off 14-day averages, and if I kept my entire team the same and I didn't pick up one new player, and the opponent also didn't pick up one new player, which is unlikely to happen, but let's just say off that, then I win 5-4. However, if I do the stats off the last 30 days, it looks like I'm going to lose 5-4, and I think the difference was the turnovers here. He my opponent will slightly get better turnovers while I'm going to get less turnovers. So there you go. So you can see the difference if you use different averages, last 7, 14, 30, and that can be handy if you know that something has changed with a particular player and you want to use 7 days versus 14 days. It'd be cool if you could do it per person, so per player. So you can use some players you can do per 14-day averages, some per 7, because that's probably more useful. But still, this is pretty cool, I would say, and I'm sure they're going to be improving their tool going forward. So if they are watching my videos, maybe they can get some suggestions from this as well, if they think it's worthwhile, that's all. Now if we go into the players, I think another part that's really cool is the games played. So right now you can see that everyone's adjusted because they've already played 1 game. So Tyus Jones had 3 games this week, now he's got 2 left. So basically the projections are basing it off the 2 games that he has left and the current stats that have already accumulated as well. So it continuously accumulates each day, which is really cool as well, a nice little functionality. Another functionality that's cool is that if you know that you're going to forecast particular changes from players in the IL or even just off the bench, you can do that automatically into your projection. So let's say Darius Garland has 4 games this week. I know let's say for example he's going to come back midweek. He's not, but let's say he is. I can say, okay, he's going to play 2, and Drummond is only going to play 1 more because I'm going to dump him. He had 3 games, but I'm going to dump him midweek and on the waiver wire to replace him with Darius Garland. And let's see if it changes. Well, actually it did change because the turnovers actually went up, but my assists also went up. Sorry, I should have shown you this before, but my assists before were like 130, now they're 135, and then my turnovers were I think 56. 59, but now they're at the 64, so they've gone up by 5. So there you go. So you can actually change your players as well midweek. Sorry, not midweek. You can change them any point in time to project what would happen if certain things were to happen that you basically are planning or forecasting for that week. So pretty handy in my opinion, those things. But again, it's just you're guessing a lot, and the main thing for me is that you don't know what's going to happen. Number one, because you're going to likely injuries are going to happen. Number one, for sure, doesn't matter what team you are, and number two, you're likely to pick up people off the waiver wire, even if you don't want to, because sometimes really great players come up and you have to drop someone that doesn't fit your build just to pick them up as well. So another thing I want to show you as well is the league settings. So this is pretty cool. Sorry, not league settings. It's like a league-wide sort of projection. And basically, as you can see here, it's got we'll do 14 days. So based off the last 14 days of my team, each player, I can see here that I'm going to be doing pretty well against most teams. So against this team, I win 5-4. Against this team, I would win 7-2. Against this team, I would lose 4-5, and etc. So it's actually showing I'm doing pretty well. But this is just projections at the end of the day, and it's hard to project this so deep into the season because obviously everyone's team is going to change every single week, right? So just remember they are projections, and that's what makes this hard. It gives you a little bit of an insight, but let's be honest, so much of fantasy basketball is luck. Don't kid yourself. No one should kid themselves that they're going to know everything, because it really is difficult. But I think it's still pretty cool, and this becomes really valuable in my opinion. This particular thing right here. Sorry, I'm pointing the wrong way. This way, mainly at the end of the season when you're going to sort of like who's going to be in the playoff standings, and you want to see how you're going to play against them, because it's unlikely that people's builds are going to change in the last like week or two of the fantasy season, because there's just not that many waiver wire picks anymore. There is some silly season hero guys, but if you have your fantasy sort of mid-March, fantasy playoffs in the mid-March, I think it's sort of less likely to change people's builds, and that way you actually have a decent projection of who you might want to play, and if you were to play those teams, what would happen in your build versus theirs. So that is basically the main functionality. I only have the basic version, and there may even be some stuff that I'm missing out on, but that's definitely the main stuff that they offer, and that's what I got it for as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump right into the feedbacks. I'll put a little bit of dot points on my opinions, and we'll probably end the video after that. Okay, so my opinion, so a couple dot points here, and as I go forward in the season, my opinions and my feedback may change as well based off things that I identify, and maybe I also don't have full awareness of the tool, but I'm pretty sure I've got a strong understanding of it based off when you buy it shows you all the different functions that it does. So I think it's the first one. I think it's not as useful for daily leagues just because of the fact that you stream a lot, especially if you have like 4, 5, 6 waiver picks per week. Your team is going to change so much, so it's going to be really difficult to forecast. I think it's really good at the start of the week to get an understanding of where you may be lacking or where you may be strong against an opponent. I think that's really important, whether it's a daily or weekly league. I do think it becomes pretty useful towards the end of the week. So the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I find that it becomes really useful for me because I can see, okay, clearly, sometimes teams don't have any more waiver picks, so you can tell for sure what's going to happen to their league, their team for the last few days. And also it gives you a bit more understanding, because once once you've already played like, 5-6 days of the week, you already know, which categories you can't or can catch up in, and that way you can sort of forecast a bit truer, and your forecasting will actually be more impactful because there's less likely to change as the week goes on as well. So it's fairly accurate as well, forecasting, especially in the last 2-3 days. So a good question that I've been asked by some of my mates is like, is it actually is it actually good at, or accurate, we'll say, in terms of forecasting? In my opinion, it is. Like for example, in week 8, I didn't really pick up anyone till the end, and I found that it was pretty close. I should have taken a screenshot, I wish I did now, but it was pretty close to projecting, who I actually got, what my projections were based off the start of the week, all the way to what I actually accumulated as well. But that is hard to say. For example, Giannis, he averages like 32, but he went for 64 last week, so that completely blows it out of the water. He doubled his average. So I'm not saying that's pretty rare, but it can happen in steals and blocks and those unpredictable categories. So yeah, so it is fairly accurate in forecasting, in my opinion. It's just the fact that you stream and you have injuries that makes it really difficult to sort of put too much weight on. You have to take it not with a grain of salt, but you have to take it with some limitations. It's more useful for weekly leagues. I think it's really good. Or if you have like a league where you've only got like 2 or 3 picks, maybe 2 picks a week, where your team's not going to change much, I think it's pretty useful there, in my opinion. It'd be helpful as well if you could forecast. Again, if whoever's listening to this, if you guys run a WZRD tool, it'd be helpful if you could like pick a player off the waiver wire and like not pick a player, but you could like get a projection of what your team stats would look like if you were to pick someone. So let's say, for example, I picked Bilal Coulibaly. Is his steals really going to impact me that much? Now, obviously, you can maybe make that up in your own, do some maths in your own head and come to that conclusion, but that would be a cool functionality to see what would happen if you picked up players and for the not picked up, if you could project pickups for the week and what that would do to your weekly matchup as well. I think that would be like super helpful. And the last thing as well is that if they expanded this to mock drafting, I think it would be really handy. I know that like at the moment Yahoo sort of includes this already. I haven't done an ESPN mock draft in so long, but I think it'd be cool, and because it's the fact that it's really accurate, it might be handy as well. And I think considering they've already got all the plugin built in, it could be something that's easy for them to do. But that's probably like a should have. A could have. It's not that important. I think the last dot point on the forecasting tool on picking up players, that would be really beneficial, and I think that would really set it apart. But again, my honest opinion, if I could conclude this, is that it's definitely helpful. $8 is not that much. I think it could definitely help you. I think it's gonna be a lot more useful towards the end of the season, and I'll do probably another video at the end of the season if I make the playoffs, which I hope to, and whether or not it really will help. And then again, if you're in a weekly league, I think it's definitely really good for you to sort of pick your waiver wires for that week and just like set and forget sort of type atmosphere. So I think, yeah, if you're in a weekly league towards the end of the league, or you don't have many pickups, I think it's a great tool. And even if you're in a daily league, the last thing is that which I covered earlier, which is that towards the last 2-3 days of the week, it becomes really useful as well, because you're not going to change your team much, and you've probably already developed sort of an understanding of which categories you're going to win and lose that week. Not too much is going to change. So that's basically my conclusion. I think it's definitely helpful for $8. Whether it's going to change your season, hard to say. I don't think so, but I think it's definitely going to be helpful. And again, we'll see towards playoff time. That's where I think the money, it could provide some value, but I'll probably have to do another video closer to the playoffs and let you guys know how I feel. But if you guys have used this tool, definitely let everyone in the comment section know what you guys think. I would love to hear as well. And if you guys have any other tools, or you heard of any other tools that are similar to this, or even something else that might be handy, definitely add it in the comment section, and I'll try and do a video on that whenever I get a chance as well. But I hope this video gave you a bit of insight, and if it did, definitely give it a like. And if you like short videos, this one's going to be a little bit long because one of my ad hoc ones, but if you like short videos with a lot of content, definitely give it a subscribe. I think you will enjoy the channel. But all the best, guys, going forward with your weekly matchups, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, take it easy. Bye.